Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Lunch and Learn, the October 24 version. And today we've got some colleagues of our partners, Fast, Lean, Smart, FLS UK. We've got Simon, who's going to take us through some of the features that we can get out of this great tool, and James is in the chat to answer any questions. So without further ado, I will pass over to Simon to show how you can save money and improve your resource scheduling with FLS UK.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris. Hopefully you can all hear me.
Loud and clear.
Oh, brilliant. So FLS, what does FLS do? What does FLS VISITOUR do? Very, very simply, we plug into Dynamics ecosystem, either CE, field service, and again, other ways which HSO can do for you as well. But what we're about is basically this one screen explains it brilliantly well. Left-hand side of the screen, just say you're a firm who've got lots of field operatives out there and you need to schedule them. Left-hand side is almost like what they were doing before they came to us. Right-hand side, exactly the same prospective customer, but using on exactly the same day, using the FLS tool. And in this instance, we will save them nearly £12,000 a day in their actual costs. So ramp that up over a whole year, it gets pretty eye-watering. So very simply, this is what FLS does. It's about absolutely optimizing your engineers' efficiency and everything in the field. So what we're going to be talking about today, just very briefly, don't worry, I'm not going to bore you too much. We're just going to talk to you about who we are and why we're here. Talk to you about signs that you might need a change. What are those little early warning signs? Also, why move to a real-time scheduling tool? What's the benefit around that? And also all the other things that comes from it, such as sustainable service and great customer service as well. Obviously, how we can then help you, and then we'll give you a very quick overview of the solution, and then talk to you as well about an offering that HSO can obviously offer up to you guys as well, which is something called a scheduling test. So that's what we're just going to cover off today. So hopefully that's what you're all expecting. Straight into who FLS are. We're a big German outfit. We're part of the Solvares group. So we like to think we're the Vorsprung der Technik of scheduling. Employ about 330 people, but more importantly, we're very proud of our Microsoft IS status, being able to seamlessly integrate into the Dynamics ecosystem. Really, we're trusted scheduling experts. As some of you may know, Microsoft Dynamics has its own scheduling tool, but again, we kind of like start where RSO but bluntly ends. Again, we go a lot deeper into the whole dynamic scheduling piece that RSO can do. So we're here to complement what Microsoft actually does. And as you can see, we've got a number of obviously big ticket customers here, obviously all using FLS. And one of the ones that we just want to highlight to you today, SMS, it's a joint customer between obviously HSO and Fast, Lean, Smart. Again, they came to us, huge requirements about making sure that they could actually schedule all their 600 engineers efficiently on a single platform, and scheduling was a really big part of their whole requirement. So again, which is why HSO and us joined up to be part of the actual bid, and we've obviously now that delivered to them. Another really big Dynamics customer as well, another really good example would be Eon Energy. We've got about 1,400 engineers obviously live with them with Dynamics. They were using again the RSO solution, the Microsoft solution, but again it just didn't deliver what they needed. So again, we were then parachuted in to obviously just deliver what they needed, and again they're now obviously live on this as well. So again, we really do deliver in the Microsoft kind of ecosystem. So what are the signs that you need a change? So quite often as an organization, you might have started off with maybe 30 to 40, 50 engineers, and then suddenly you've grown over the last year or two to 100 plus engineers, or you might have just been growing all the time. And quite often you get some little early warning signs, most of which you can see on the screen. And these always mean that, look, it's now time to maybe think about your scheduling solution. And if you're seeing any of these, this should be the time that you pick up the phone and chat to the team at HSO. And I'm not going to go through all of these, so don't worry. I'm just going to highlight a few. But the typical ones, the obvious ones that come up all the time are your engineers are spending too long traveling rather than being on site. the actual a really subtle one actually is a really interesting one. Your subcontractor spending goes up, so you're using operatives in the field, your own operatives, but as well sometimes you have to complement that with subcontractors. Well, if you suddenly see that increasing, that those subcontractor costs increasing up, it's absolutely time to think about, well, are we scheduling things as well as we could be doing? And again, I think linked in with that as well, are your planners spending too much of their day trying to plan in all the jobs and get all those engineers' routes right? These are all the little early warning signs that you can actually think about as to, this is how we can obviously help you. So the challenge bluntly, and this slide explains it really, really well, is just say you've got one guy and he's got 10 visits to do. There's actually 3.6 million possibilities of how that can be obviously routed and scheduled. Obviously ramp that up to 100, 200, 1,000 plus engineers who are doing 8, 9, 10 plus jobs a day. It gets so hard to do manually, you just can't do it. And that's where you need a tool like FLS to help you on your particular journey. And most of the algorithms out there or optimization tools sit what we call around about the 70-75% mark of optimization, which is it's okay, but it's not brilliant. We sit as close as we can to the theoretical optimum when it comes to scheduling. But for the geeks amongst you, you can't actually get to the theoretical optimum, but we sit as close as we can to it. So it's about providing that best in-day optimization piece. And it's not just about scheduling in advance and optimizing in advance. It's about doing all that in-day optimization as well. And that's where FLS excels with the functionality that we've got. So what is our solution? Well, very simply, when you're scheduling, it's about trying to balance so many different things. But the thing that's so good about the FLS solution that customers love is absolutely, completely transparent. What do I mean by that? Say a planner needs to understand, well, why is this job being given to this engineer or resource out in the field? Well, absolutely, you need to know that, because if the planners don't trust in what the scheduling engine's doing, they'll start moving things around. Because FLS is so transparent, it literally gives the planners the reasons, well, this job's been given to this engineer because of X, Y, and Z. And likewise, the same is true when you're actually, your schedules are absolutely full, and showing you the least cost option of where you can slot something in. But how is it transparent? Well, very simply, every job or visit in the system that we have has a target value associated to it. That target value is made up of a number of things. How important it is. Is it a reactive planned job? You take away the cost of getting someone there, the penalties of sending someone over to somebody else. But into all that value as well, you're throwing many, many, many different constraints. Things like, is the engineer got the right skill? Is the site opening hours, or is there access around certain times? And so many other things. We're thinking about all these things all the time and trying to balance all these things for you. And most importantly as well, scheduling is also about balancing these three things: cost savings, customer satisfaction, and employee satisfaction. And actually the employee satisfaction piece, certainly in the last 4 to 5 years, has become even more important. Since Brexit, certainly in certain sectors, certain companies are finding it harder to keep and retain good staff, and keeping hold of your good engineers is absolutely key, as any business knows, because it's about, they're the ones that give really good customer service. And if you can make sure, half the battle bluntly is if you can make sure that the engineers leave home at a decent time in the morning and get home at a decent time, that's normally half the battle won about keeping a decent engineer. So this has become far more important as we've gone through, obviously, the last few years. So how do we fit in? And most importantly as well, it's also about reducing your mileage and CO2 output. That is absolutely key when it comes to the whole scheduling piece as well. And this is what we're doing underneath the bonnet too. So how do we fit into your organization? Well, very simply, certainly in the Dynamics world, your back end users or the admin staff, they carry on using Dynamics as they would do normally. It's only really the dispatch or the planners that will be seeing the screens that I'll be showing you in a second. The engineers will still be using the Microsoft Dynamics mobile platform, the Dynamics mobile platform, and obviously the back office admin staff in finance will still be using exactly the same tool, your Dynamics the Dynamics ecosystem as well. So it's literally only the planners that be looking at our screens. So we've embedded ourselves within the Dynamics screens, as I'll show you in a second, and it's really quick and easy to obviously put a scheduling solution in. So if you've obviously got Dynamics and you're thinking about, well, do you need to put some scheduling in? It's not a big task. Typically, we normally take somewhere between 3 to 6 months to implement a solution in. It can be faster, and we have done it faster in some instances as well. So our solution really addresses many different things. It's about that front self-service piece, and again, through Dynamics, through your Dynamics portals that you may have written, again, you're just calling our APIs and actually getting some appointments for your customers. The back office, again, the planners, they'll be actually sitting in the screens and seeing everything they need to do, and we'll be showing you those screens in a second. And then more importantly as well, just as importantly, all the reporting that can all be got out using Power BI. So you can just embed your reporting capabilities from FLS within your Dynamics ecosystem as well. So certainly for the back office users, the only difference they'll notice when they're actually going through, and this is from like the field service plugin that we've got. So they're in a works order here, you're logging a job, and again, the extra button they have there is seen, and then literally from there, all they're doing is just seeing these little cost optimization slots that are coming through for them. So again, it's letting you choose the appointments for the customers and actually suggest to them, look, this is the best slot to actually go to because it's the most cost optimized. And the same through the web portal, we're trying to present to the users the most cost optimized appointments for them. And this is really key, getting cost optimal appointments. So always when you're offering up appointments, it's always going to be the best. And most importantly, it's always going to be the most cost optimized for your solution as well. So how does FLS differ from a lot of the other scheduling solutions out there? Very simply, again, it's about optimization. And what's a good example of this would be this. Let's just say each of these engineers can do 3 appointments in a day. So this guy here in yellow's got some availability. These 2 guys haven't. A brand new appointment comes in down here. Now, the way most scheduling solutions work is they work by what we call white space filling. And bluntly, the downside of that is simple. In that scenario, there's no room for this brand new appointment for this guy. There's no room for him there, and this guy's too far away. So unfortunately, that new appointment, even though it seems so close to that route, will fall off and actually go on to another day. Now, in the FLS world, how we work is very different. At the point of we're offering up an appointment, we actually throw every single job in the air in the system and go, oh, hang on a minute. We can fit one of the red guy's job and move it to the blue guy, and one of the blue guy's jobs can move over to the yellow guy, thus fitting that job into the day, thus saving you mileage. So that's a really good example of how FLS differs. Another example is we take into account the speed profiling. Well, why are road speeds important? Well, let's just say you're booking a job for tomorrow or even next week. The way most scheduling engines will work is that they would route an engineer like that, and that looks fairly sensible. But what it doesn't do is take into account what we call the rush hour traffic. How FLS would do it would be slightly different, is that we would route the guy to there first, then up number 2 job, and then to number 3. And the reason we're doing that is we're then avoiding the rush hour traffic. We've saved, obviously, 30 minutes in time. May have cost him half an extra mile, but more importantly, we've added in that extra 30 minutes of free time. So that we can do that because at the heart of our solution, we're using the TomTom IQ data. So we know literally down to the time of day, how long it takes an engineer to travel from A to B to C. So even if you're booking in advance, so booking for next week, we know that because TomTom IQ gives us that data. And that's so important because if you get the traveling speeds wrong, and actually the traveling calculations wrong, even by as little as a few percent, if you're doing maybe 6-7 jobs in a day, that may then impact the last job that the engineer's got. So again, it's making sure that we're doing all those things for them. And as well, embedded within the solution that you can link in with Dynamics, all the track and trace piece that customers expect now. So being able to let them come in, do their own self-serve piece, being able to send customers text messages. So you've got a slot booked for maybe tomorrow, somewhere between 8 and 1. Well, why not tomorrow morning send the customer a text to say, rather than being between 8 and 1, we'll be with you somewhere between 9:30 and 10:30 because by then we'll know the routes. So all these things are completely transparent, and more importantly, the system has the capability to do that for you. So real-time optimization isn't just about performance. It's about the whole efficiencies of scale. As you grow, it's about being able to offer the solutions that you want. and more importantly, high flexibility for what you need in the day. And more importantly, as your business requirements change, it's about being able to offer up all those bits of functionality that you need. And this is what FLS is so good at doing. Your business requirements will change, I can guarantee you. And it's more important that you buy into a solution that can literally cope with that as they change, so your scheduling requirements change with them. Because quite typically, clients who go with us, they have a whole load of requirements. Normally then within 2 or 3 months, those requirements are hit. They then want to change the scheduling engine. That you can do, and you don't need HSO or FLS to do that. That you can all do yourself. So the solution is completely scalable. Okay, let's get into the product now and just show you just a few little examples of what FLS is all about. Here you're seeing the screen that basically the planners would be looking at. So it's only the planners that would be viewing these screens, not the normal people logging the works orders. And all the planners are being able to do is they can see a list of their engineers that they've actually interested in seeing. And you then got literally a day view across the right hand side in the center of the screen of what's going on. Additionally, as you zoom in on each particular engineer, you can obviously see a map view of what's going on for each person. So again, it's really quick and easy to obviously overlay, the maps, etc., onto the screen, so you can just compare routes for people and see what's going on that particular day. Each of the jobs, as you'll see here, again, they're just color coded. So we've got installation jobs there, reactive jobs, and again, but these little grey bars between each of these jobs are just obviously what we expect the traveling time to be during the day. What we've also got at the end of every day is this, you see some of the guys have actually got this little yellow blob. So what this basically means is I've booked this engineer slightly into overtime. It's called flexi time in our system. So I've only overbooked this engineer by 9 minutes because in my system, I've allowed myself to book my engineers up to 105%. But it just allows yourself a little bit of flex within the day to be able to do that. And you control that at an engineer level as well. Additionally, each engineer has a start point and an end point each day. That can be different for every single day. And that's really key because sometimes you might want to move resources around. They might have to travel up to a hotel. Again, you've got to allow for their traveling home one night. Again, you're just building all that into the solution. Additionally, at the end of each day, you can actually build in what we call processing time. So again, you allow them to do admin within their working days, and you can build in as well the same kind of functionality for what we call lunch breaks. So you're actually making sure that you're forcing the engineers to take some time off during the day, maybe between 11 and 2 to have a half-hour lunch break. That's all completely configurable by you. Additionally, what the system allows us to do is what we have what we call relation jobs. So again, you can actually join 2 jobs together. So you have 2 people on site at the same time. We handle all that as standard. And we also handle relation jobs. So again, where you've got the process of 2 engineers, a gas fitter's got to go in first, then an electrician's got to go in next, and only when the electrician's finished, and again, that gas fitter's got to go back in again. So we handle all that as standard. So nice and simple. One thing that is absolutely key about FLS is its speed. So what I'm just going to do now is something you wouldn't normally do, which is I'm just going to clear all the jobs for the day. So basically, any job that appears up here in my escalation panel for the planners, this is what they need to do something with. But I've stopped my escalation monitor now, so everything's been stopped. If I actually just go back in and say, all right, let's just go in and optimize, the engineer's day. Let me just drag this in from the other window here, so you can see there's no smoke and mirrors. What the system does now is it literally just goes through sub-second and optimizes all those engineers' jobs for me. That's how quick FLS is, and that is what we're doing all the time, every single day. Another scenario that might come up in the day is, let's zoom down to maybe our southwest region. Now, obviously within the southwest, we've got a number of particular guys, and the scenario that I want to show here is that we've got 3 people that work in that particular area along with some other people as well, but the 3 main people are here. I think at the beginning of the day, great, it's going to be a fantastic day. Suddenly Rachel phones me up and said, I'm really sorry, I've got to take some unplanned holiday because I've actually just got to take my dad off to hospital, so I'm really sorry, got to take the day off. So what I've done there is I've just put them off sick. What the system's going to do now is literally go through and try and redistribute those jobs amongst the rest of the resources you've got in that particular area, what the system's now done. Let's push it a little bit further now. Let's actually go in and actually just say, okay, John phones up and says, I'm really sorry, I've got to go off sick. What the system does again is it tries to re-optimize all those routes for me, again, sub-second. And what it's going to do now, I can see now immediately that it's reached its limits. So it's now presented to me 3 jobs at the top here that just cannot be fitted in, but I've still got to do those jobs today. So at the top of the presentation, I said to you about FLS being completely transparent. But again, what FLS is doing here is it's just trying to show us for this one job at the top here, because I've gone through and pressed analyze now, it's now showing to me, okay, if I needed to put this job in, who could I put it to? And it's saying to me at the minute as a planner, look, I can't give it to this contractor or this engineer because they don't have the skills. But the top 2 guys I could give it to. Yes, it would blow their day by 1 hour and 10 minutes or 2 hours and 6 minutes for the other guy, but it's trying to show the planners this is the least cost option as to where you can put that job. Now look, I've just really touched the surface of what FLS is doing here. You know, there's the whole in-day piece of optimization that we do across the board as well, because as the day progresses, as you know, engineers may get stuck on a job. What happens to those other jobs that are there? Again, this is where FLS comes into its own, because it can move those jobs around if you want it to. But what FLS is doing behind the scenes for all of our customers, typically we're actually seeing these types of savings across many, many different customers. And how do we know this? Well, very simply, one of the things we can do for any of you is something called a scheduling test. The scheduling test is something where we can take your data, and this goes back to that very first slide I showed you in the presentation where you have that map view, and this is almost like a data view of it. And this was a prospective client who had about 150 engineers, and we just did the test on 30 engineers over a period of about 3 weeks. And when we actually do the actual scheduling test, we just basically, first of all, we get your baseline data in, so to actually show this is what you did on a particular day. And then we run various tests. The first test allows us then just to choose the engineer. The second test allows us to choose the engineer, but maybe vary the time within the SLA. So that might be, an hour either way, or between morning and afternoon, or between a couple of days. And as you can see here, we're saving those customers, certainly for mileage, somewhere between about 30 to 40%, and the same on their driving time. So these savings are normally pretty significant. And this is what we can do with you, combined with the team at HSO. For any of you who are interested in looking at this tool, and more importantly, justifying it within your actual business process, this is what the team at HSO can now do. They can obviously just get you in contact with us, and we can provide a scheduling test as part of that particular proposition for you to prove the proof of value. Okay, we're coming up to about 26 minutes now into the presentation. If you need any more information about what you've seen today, please feel free to obviously visit the link that I've put on the screen there. There's a little QR code you can take a photo of. And again, you'll see there a landing page that we've set up for you, where you can actually just see how it links in with Dynamics. And on there, there's a whole load of videos and collateral and information about the scheduling test for you to look at. Okay, with that, I'm just going to hand back now to Chris, just to wrap up the day's proceedings.
Excellent. Thanks, Simon. Really, really good look at the tool there. Hopefully everyone got a strong feeling for just how powerful this routing and scheduling tool is to FLS. FLS VISITOUR is the name of the product provide. So if you're interested in that at all, reach out to myself, reach out to Debbie, reach out to the guys, and we'll get you in touch and get you particularly that test, the scheduling test that they can do. The next Lunch and Learn is with Shillen, who the regular attendees will know very well. And he's going to do what's new and exciting in the next release, Wave 2 2024 for Dynamics 365 customer engagement. So yeah, be here for that. That's the 31st of October at midday, so that's only a week away. And other than that, thanks everyone for attending. If you want to follow HSO or myself on LinkedIn, here's the links. And thanks for attending, and thanks so much for Simon from FLS UK for presenting that. And hopefully a lot of you guys got some really good information there for that tool.